Hey, welcome into Stone Cold Stros, episode 13 of season 2. I'm Brandon Strange. I'm joined by Charlie Polillo and Josh Jordan. Read Charlie's column weekly on sportsmap.com and follow him on X at Polillo. Read Josh's work daily on sportsmap.com and follow him on X at Josh Jordan 975. Show support for the hometown guys in orange by hitting like on this video right now. And you can support our drive to 25 by subscribing to the channel and helping us get one step closer to 25,000 subscribers. We appreciate everyone who has, because this channel cannot and will not exist without your support. And a reminder, the full version of this podcast is available at your favorite podcast app. Charlie, not long ago on this show, I asked if the answers to the Astros problems were as simple as just getting their starting pitching back. But the Astros offense continues to be challenged for consistent hitting in timely spots. And the bullpen has blown 8 saves already this season. I've exhausted the bingo card line. I'll just say that, regarding the state of the Astros, at this point, John Singleton is a better option in the 4-hole than Alex Bregman. And I can't believe that's a line that I'm uttering in the year of our Lord 2024, unironically. And I was questioning Singleton being on this team on opening day, but thank goodness he was. He's not Ohtani, but Bregman was doing his best to get under the Mendoza line fittingly on Cinco de Mayo. So when everything is going wrong on the team, except for the choo-choo train derailing in Minute Maid, and hopefully Bobby Dynamite is doing a better job than Boeing at maintaining his vehicle, are we beyond quick fixes for this team?
Well, seemingly everything but Bobby Dynamite has imploded with the 2024 Astros. So we'll trust he's okay and keeps his perfect attendance record intact. Do you want the quickie good news first or the quickie bad news first? And we'll grow it out from there.
I like quickie good news first. Let's set the tone right.
All right. The Astros start this week at 12-22. The 2019 Washington Nationals started the season 19-31. They won the World Series. So if from this day forward, the Astros go 7-9 over their next 16 games, they will match what the Nationals did through their first 50 games 5 seasons ago. And the Nationals wound up winning the World Series, albeit at Minute Maid Park, but they won the World Series from a 19-31 start. It wasn't a good homestand. It's yet another non-winning homestand for the Astros. But if you step back just a little bit, now that they lost the last 2 games to Seattle, and the way they lost, particularly the last game to Seattle, but they went 3-3 in a week where they faced 2 first-place teams. All right, the Guardians have been one of the biggest positive surprises in baseball, and the Mariners' pitching had been historic in terms of its starting pitching quality until finally a hiccup yesterday. But Josh Hader out-hiccuped that hiccup. So it seems bleak right now, right? Sustaining some sort of quality seems beyond this club's grasp, but it's still too early for last rites. Hey, opening the week 7 games back now, dropping a game to the Mariners and being 6.5 behind the Rangers, increasingly problematic, but at least they're not double digits behind like they would be the Orioles and the Yankees if in the East, behind the Guardians if they were in the Central. All right, that was the quickie to good news. The quickie bad news is this team sucks. Right where it is right now, this team sucks. And let me distill that to earned run average. 30 teams in Major League Baseball. The Astros are 26th. The only teams worse than the Astros in team ERA are the other 4 teams that suck. And we're just defining suck as you're on pace to lose 100 games. You lose 100 games, indisputably, you suck. Angels, Rockies, Marlins, White Sox, Astros. Those are the 5 teams that suck in Major League Baseball to this point. But the Astros are the only one, and I know it's stretching the rubber band farther and farther for an increasing number, but they're the only one of those 5 with any plausible hope to still be a salvageable operation. But as each week goes by and you're not drawing near to 500 or you're falling farther back within your division and in the wild card pack, no doubt increasingly troubling.
That's where I'm starting to get with this thing. I hear all the, hey, it's still early. People don't want to hear that. It's still early. I'm kind of wondering, when is the time to panic then? Like, when should we be concerned? Because I'm pretty concerned because it's just all over the ball club. And it's the same stuff we've been talking about all season long. It's they can't hit with runners in scoring position, the pitching, giving up too many runs, terrible ERA. It's just, and it's the people you were really counting on. We were talking before the show. If I told you Jeremy Pena had the third highest slugging percentage on this team in front of Yordan Alvarez, how would you think this season is going? Well, about what you would expect. Kyle Tucker, Altuve, they've been good, overall when you look at the stats, but there's not a lot else to get excited about here. I know Yainer Diaz, it's not perfect, but it's not bad. You knew he was going to have some ups and downs, and it's still early. It's just all over the board for me. And the big one's the bullpen, which we brought up earlier. It's just, this is where you dumped all your money. This is what you were counting on, that when you would have a lead, you would be able to hold it. And Josh Hader has just been terrible. Even in the games where, he gets out of it, doesn't blow the game, he seemingly gives up a run or a big double smashed in the gap almost every outing. And Brian Abreu, the overall numbers aren't bad, but if unclutch is a thing, like he's kind of been that this year too. And Presley hasn't been very good either. So there's just so many concerns, and nothing seems to be getting better. I've just kind of come to, I just don't expect anything from Bregman anymore right now until he busts out of it. That's not even something I talk about. And you can't blame this all on Abreu anymore. Abreu at first base, that is, because Singleton is starting to produce. So you can't blame all this on the black hole at first base. He's starting to come through, and the conclusion of the game is still looking the same.
Well, look, if we want to go deeper on the hitting first, the guys expected to, through past performance, or paid to, the first and the 15th, to do the heaviest lifting, cannot be lightweights. And Alex Bregman's not even a lightweight. He's subpathetic so far this year. I believe in boxing, straw weight is the actual lowest measured division, 106 pounds, I think it is. Well, Bregman's a 98-pound weakling at the plate so far this year. 202 batting average, 553 OPS. He continues to lengthen his resume of infield pop-ups with runners in scoring position, especially. He's not even slugging 300. Right? He still draws a decent number of walks, but when you're hitting 202, unless you're walking like Ricky Henderson in his prime, it's not going to turn your on-base percentage into something good. 553 OPS. Martin Maldonado, over his last 3 years of relentlessly woeful offense with the Astros. Bregman this year, 553. Maldonado over the last 3 years, 593. Okay, let me build on unfun with numbers, Astros version. Yainer Diaz, I think Josh covered it pretty well. Measured the expectations. He was awesome last year with the power. By default, was going to be an upgrade over Maldonado. But I think there was probably too much hope tethered to the fact that this guy's going to be Mike Piazza in his prime as soon as he becomes the everyday starter. It's unfortunately ironic that Yainer Diaz right now is probably playing a little bit too much. He started 31 of their first 34 games, even though I think 8 of those has been as the designated hitter. That's still on pace to play over 150 games. That's a whole lot. Caratini in his limited playing time has performed well. And Yainer Saturday completed a month over which Yainer's OPS was 592. Reminder, Maldonado the last 3 years, 593. So for a month, Yainer Diaz offensively was what Martin Maldonado was here, which was just a steaming pile constantly. And then Yainer goes 0 for 4 without really a decent at bat in the game on Sunday. So whether he's actually playing a little bit too much or just needs maybe a day off in conjunction with a scheduled day off, a little mental health break or something, but he's been a bad player for the last month. But we hedge that with Yainer Diaz, right? Overall, the OPS is still over 700. He's a first-year starter. Attention, Yordan Alvarez. Over Yordan's last 21 games. I know I geek out over the math. Yordan's OPS the last 21 games, 592. Exactly that. Of a month of Yainer Diaz, exactly 1 point lower than what Martin Maldonado was over the last 3 years. Yordan freaking Alvarez, 21 games. So that's close to a month of baseball when you factor in off days. 3 home runs in that stretch. 2 of them in Mexico City. Yordan has been for hunger for over 3 weeks. Yordan this season with runners in scoring position, 167, 5 for 30. So Yordan now back in the 3 spot, Bregman back in the 4 spot. 2 of the 4 most important spots in your batting order are killing you. Bregman, it's been pretty much since opening day. Yordan, the last 3 weeks. And I do want to mention this in brief. Altuve's been tremendous this season, but really bad given the way thing. Altuve flat out loafing twice in the Mariners series. Mm-hmm. Friday, I cut a little bit of a break. It was a ground ball that the third baseman kicked, but he didn't just bobble it and immediately pick it up. He had to take a step, pick it up. Still threw out Altuve at first because Altuve trotted out of the box. Up, ground ball to third base, I'm out. Except you weren't. And then in Saturday's game, after egg on face Friday, he hits a ball down the third base line. That there's a good shot that's an infield hit, period. Third baseman doesn't field it cleanly, still picks it up, throws out Altuve because he didn't bust it out of the box on a ball that he had no reason to assume was a routine ground out. I mean, if Jose Altuve is going to commit those kind of errors of indifference, right, that's separate from silly or dumb base running, you can always control your level of hustle. And that Altuve, of all guys, failed in consecutive games against the Mariners. You know, I'm not saying bench him for 2 days or something like that, but after the second one, Espada at least needed to give him a look of, hey, come on, man. You're our heartbeat. You're also one of our only 3 decent players in our lineup right now. You can't do that.
Charlie, you mentioned straw weight. And speaking of weight, we heard Alex Bregman had added 20 pounds of muscle. Can he lose it? It's not working for him right now. The
first 10, he should be able to shed like points on his batting average, right? Water weight and stuff like that.
Doesn't it kind of go to the point of what everyone said about Barry Bonds, which is like steroids don't make you hit a ball better. And so like Barry Bonds was already a great hitter. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but just I think it certainly does, in my mind, lend some credence to that argument. And also just, it's really weird. They're kind of playing a shell game with what's going on with this team right now. And that when the starting pitching does show up, the offense doesn't. When the offense does, the games become slugfest because the pitching implodes. When the bats can keep it close, the bullpen blows it. You mentioned Altuve, and I feel like right now Altuve is kind of a microcosm for this team. He's got these great stats outside of the ones that can really like swing the pendulum as far as winning goes, just hitting with runners in scoring position. The team
he's turning up there, 4 hits in his last 6 at bats.
Absolutely. But the greater body of the work, the team right now, 3rd in hits, 3rd in average, 6th in on-base percentage, but 16th in runs. Does the fact that they have literal leading stats in some of these categories at least give you some hope that from an offensive standpoint, we expect, maybe foolishly, but we expect Alex Bregman to come out of this. We expect guys like Yordan Alvarez to come out of this. And you're getting more than what you could have hoped for out of a guy like John Singleton. Is the formula at least there in parts to get the offense back on track?
Yes, no question about it. Right, they're middle of the pack in runs scored. It was a knock. I don't know who first put it out there, but on Sammy Sosa back in his heyday, that Sammy Sosa could blow you out, but he couldn't beat you. There are people here who'd bag on Bagwell that, oh yeah, he drove in all 1,500 of his runs when the Astros are ahead 11-2 or behind 9-1, which is flat out stupid. Bagwell for his career was a 307 hitter with runners in scoring position. All those hits didn't come in blowout wins or losses. But that the Astros are going to remain so untimely with runners in scoring position, it's just not probable. Last season, the Texas Rangers as a team into June hit over 330 with runners in scoring position. Now, you're either going to have an epically historic season or things are going to level off some. And the Rangers leveled off, and you know what? They collapsed, and the Astros were able to get back in the race and ultimately win the division and all that. Rangers had the last laugh. But over 162 games, there's going to be waves and S-curves. Around here, we've never seen anything this bad for this long. in near a decade. But they are not absolutely irretrievable. And whether as just a reasoned observer, analyst, discusser of these things, or just a dyed-in-the-wool orange and blue Astros forever, there are things to cling to with this team because it's not a lineup where nobody can hit, right? Not just track record, but even where they are this year in batting average and slugging percentage. So they're not utterly irredeemable. Maybe it turns out that way, but that all hope is lost would be an individual choice. I mean, heaven knows I am no cockeyed optimist homer, but that this Astros season is done, the hell it is.
Yeah, and if I'm going to jump on the Nationals comparison Charlie made there, it seems like everything that can go wrong is going wrong, at least at this early stage in the season. So it makes you think as the season goes along, maybe they hit a wave where everything's just going right and everything's falling in and everything's working in their favor and they're able to rack up a bunch of wins in a row. But until we see it, it's hard to believe it when we're in the middle of it. But baseball is like that. You can get that wave of momentum, either positive or negative. But the problem is they're going to have to get there soon because they have so much ground to make up. And the other thing I want to pick up on too, you mentioned Altuve. We've been used to him jumping on the first or second pitch, and that's something he's done throughout his career, and that's fine. You see a good fastball, knock it out in your first at bat, and take a shot at it. But I feel like the whole team's kind of doing that now, to where you look up and it's the fifth or sixth inning, and the opposing pitcher's thrown like 55 pitches or something wild like that. It doesn't seem like a lot of at bats where, remember, we used to be like, oh, the Astros really make you work to get through that long lineup, and it's so tough. Seems like it's swing first or second pitch, pop up to the infield, pop up to the outfield, ground ball to third. Whole lot of that. You're not getting to bullpens as quickly as you'd like to. And it just feels like if I'm an opposing pitcher and, you're going to take your shot on my fastball outside, at the knees. Okay. Yeah. Greg Maddux was cool with that. Every single game, you knew that's where that first pitch was going to be because he knew it was a pitcher's pitch. I don't feel like the Astros are working counts long enough to take advantage of some mistakes.
Well, the Astros have to hope that their luck turns, but hope is not a plan, which makes you wonder, what does Jim Crane think about all this? We'll talk about that next on part 2 of Stone Cold Stros. To listen to the full show, it's up right now at your favorite podcast app. And to watch the rest of the conversation here on YouTube, just check back on the channel later and we'll post that video shortly. And as always, go Stros.